Hello, hello, hello. Thought I'd start a couple of minutes early so that I can get this shared out. So if you're here, welcome. Come on in, have a seat, get comfortable. All right, come on, phone. Show I'm live. Okay, there. Yay, it shows that I'm live. Now I gotta go and make it public. I sing a lot of stuff. Don't judge me. All right, so let's see here. If you are joining me, let me know. Let me know. Let me know you're here. Tomorrow, I am excited to be able to do readings, right? Do, 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 do. All right, share, share, share. We are talking about SEO and building authority tonight. I kind of talked about it a little bit when it came to like the presence of your social media platform, but we're really going to dig into building authority because that is super important. Super duper important. Lord, I'm sharing this out loud and I don't even remember where I just shared it to. Nah, it's okay. All right. So let me know if y'all are here. Let me know if you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube. Let me pull up my outline so I can stay on track today. I know today we are talking about, like I said, SEO. SEO. We didn't get a chance to talk about that yesterday. But that's okay. Hey, had to go wherever the conversation was taking us. So let me pull my other tripod over here, put my phone up here so I can be on track. Okay. So we're going to talk about SEO tonight before we get into talking about building authority, because that's going to be a little bit longer of a conversation. So as before, if you have any questions, by all means, drop them in the comments. You might see me like put my face all the way in the screen, and it's because I have new glasses that I'm supposed to wear. And as I understand, this lady at the doctor's office told me that after 40, something happens where you can't see close. And it seemed like I woke up and everything changed in my body. But I'm not complaining. I'm happy. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll definitely answer them as we go along. So let's dive right on in. If you have a business, obviously, then SEO is one of those terms. SEO optimization is something that you should know. And if you don't know, then, it's important for you to learn. SEO stands for search engine optimization, right? SEO, that's what it means. And this pretty much means, in the most simplest form, is that when you go online, say, for example, Google, and you type in, I'm searching like how to tie a tie, right? If you go and type that in, then you're going to get a whole bunch of different options down at the bottom where you can click on. So what SEO is pretty much the words that you're typing into the search bar and how it matches with what results come up. That is the absolute simplest form explanation of what SEO is. And so when you have websites, and especially even on social media, having SEO and keywords they're super important. Now, there are some other platforms, like for example on Etsy, where I'm at, where I have to go and make sure that I have certain keywords placed strategically throughout. And this goes for any website, to make sure that when somebody comes on Etsy, because it is a search engine in itself, that my listings match with what they are searching for. So you don't want to just kind of throw any old word into your website, onto your social media page, which we'll talk a little bit about hashtags and such there, and keywords as well. But you don't want to just throw any old words, because that can actually cause more damage than not. So for example, and again, I told you all these conversations that I'm having with you over the next few days. I'm going to tell you a lot of the mistakes I've made. So for example, and I'll just use Etsy because I'm just heavily on Etsy. On Etsy, I have a lot of different products. I have conjure oils, I have candles, I have bath salts, right? And so let's just take the bath salts, for example. During my research, and we'll talk about how to find the keywords here in a second, but during my research, in my behind the scenes on Etsy, I realized that some keywords were coming up and they were heavily searched keywords that had absolutely nothing to do with my listings. But for some reason, those words would pull up my search, my listings. And so I was like, well, hey, let me just go ahead and throw this keyword in there, because it's being used and I'm popping up. So let's just increase the traffic and throw this word in there. And so there's a few different examples. Some of them just didn't even make any sense. But when I did that, I noticed that there is a decline in me popping up. Why? I have absolutely no idea. But what I really think what happened is that what happens is that even on Google or on social media or on, the keyword, the magical word is algorithm. The computer system has to learn, right? The computer system has to learn that what you have on there, if it matches with what somebody is searching for. And if the computer over time starts to say, oh, that keyword really just doesn't match this, then it will reprogram, reshift, and redirect how people are searching. So it's super, super important for you to add relevant keywords and not have to go back and change them like I have done. Okay. So how do you find these keywords? What are the magical, where do they come from? The magical solution to all of your problems. Well, I suggest actually searching. Well, there's a couple of different methods. Let me actually start with this other method that I found is pretty useful and helpful for me when I'm trying to figure out keywords. So what I do is I look at what it is that I'm doing, right? What am I doing? Well, let's, for example, use the bath salts. So I look at this bath salt and I take away all of the intention and magical things behind it. And I say, what is this? And bath salt. Okay, that's good. All right, it's a bath salt. So I take a piece of paper and I make a column. I write bath salt. Bath is divided on the piece of paper. Salt is on the other side. And then I look at those two keywords and I look for synonyms. What are some other words that I could use for bath? What are some other synonyms that I can use for salt? Well, you're not going to find a whole lot, but if you dig a little deeper and get a little creative with what the results that come up, then you can really get some good pairs. So, for example, with this example, I'll do spiritual baths. And you see, I added an S on the end of bath because bath and baths are two different words according to searching. So I put, okay, spiritual baths. And then I just kind of keep going down the line there to find out what words will pair to make sense. And if I have to tag an S on the end of some words or, kind of switch it up a little bit, I do that as well. And then I might pull in some words for this example here, spa, right? Spa is not in bath salts, but bath salts could be used for a spa-like experience. And so then I tag that on there. One good tool that I like to use is AI when coming up with synonyms. Now, AI is not perfect, and that's okay, but it does get my, the brainstorming going. So I say, hey, AI, what are some other words or phrases that can be used to describe bath salts? And then it gives me a whole list, right? And sometimes it's not the best, but if I really keep plugging and keep asking for more suggestions by rephrasing my question and asking in different ways, then it will bring me some useful results. Now, one thing that I want to mention here too, and this especially, I'm kind of talking about Etsy because again, that's just my world, is that you have to be sure that what it is that you're putting in there, they're not a bunch of repeated words. So I'm not going to put bath salts, bath salt. I'm not going to put bath, sodium, whatever. I'm not going to, you get my point. I'm not going to put bath multiple times and putting that into the description or whatever it is that I'm doing. And the reason why is because it's going to be redundant. The algorithm, right, this mysterious person that's probably back there plugging things away, it's going to recognize baths as one word. It's not going to think outside of the box. And people may not call it a bath. They might call it something else. And so you want to really increase your likelihood and your chances of being discovered by utilizing and by utilizing AI to find synonyms and strategically placing them and getting creative when it comes to titles and descriptions or the body of a text. So, how does this relate to social media? Well, it really just kind of depends on what platform that you're using. So, for example, hashtags, as I remember, it was pound sign, but it's transformed into hashtags. So, when you're doing social media, there are certain rules that say, hey, don't put a lot of different hashtags here, put more hashtags there. It just really depends. So, like, for example, on Facebook, I've seen some people put, a bunch, and then some people might put, a small amount. Well, the jury is kind of out on that. I've heard both sides of the argument on whether you should use a lot of hashtags or you should use a few hashtags. And if you want to dig into this argument just a little deeper, then some say you can use, how when you start typing a hashtag and it'll say, 3 million people are using it, or 52 million, or 100K, right? So the argument is that you should use, as many hashtags as you need to get an even distribution on how often that hashtag is being used. So, for example, they say you should use couple of the heavily used ones. You should use a couple of, the medium, or you should use a couple of the lower search ones. And that's something that I have found tends to work. But that was also a couple of years ago that I realized that was working. I have noticed a slight difference, especially when I'm testing around with hashtags to see which ones are going to get me in front of people the most, is that it's still a little mix of that, but versus using 8 or 10 within that kind of categories that I mentioned before, it's okay. Let me use a couple of the higher volume hashtags and maybe a couple of the smaller ones, and then I'll throw one in there that I make up for myself for easier finding. If someone's really interested in my content or whatever. So I can't give you a clear yes or no on which way to go. You honestly have to, again, look at the platform that you're on and test and see what's going to work for your content. Okay. Now, on YouTube, especially like on YouTube, for example, on shorts, when I'm uploading shorts on YouTube, they give you like the least amount of characters to type. Like, if you're going to put all hashtags, you have maybe three or four that you can put in if you don't add a little descriptor beforehand. So just play around with it, test it, pay attention, and see which ones are working for your content. Now, keep in mind when I just mentioned about SEO is that you want to make sure that your hashtags are relevant to your topic. Okay. I have found, especially as a spiritual entrepreneur, that sometimes it can be not necessarily difficult on the hashtags part, but the categorical part, right? Because if you're uploading reels and such, especially on Facebook, they give you the option to say, hey, what category does this fit in? Or anytime when you're uploading videos on Facebook, it asks you for a category. And I go, well, I'm going to just select the one that actually fits the best way. So, for example, with the School of Magic, my digital marketing platform, I select business because that's essentially what it is. It's business. Well, it does have a little bit of spirit, a lot of spirituality and magic and manifesting components to it. But I'm just going to select business and just kind of keep on with my day. So if you have a hard time trying to select and decide, by all means, don't select hair when you're trying to promote something that has nothing to do with hair. I think there's a category on there. I know there's one for like toys and games. So like don't select that, especially if you're selling shoes. It just doesn't match. Because what's going to happen is that your content is going to get pushed down and I'll tell you why it's going to get pushed down, because when people are, how on Facebook, if you're looking at reels, and this happens on YouTube as well and TikTok, is that if you're looking at a certain reel or a short form video long enough, it'll start sending you more content that's like that. For example, the other day I started watching this like couple. They were funny and I didn't follow them. I probably didn't even like the video. not intentionally. I just didn't. And the next day, guess what? Now I'm getting flooded with their content. So whatever keywords that they're putting in there, right? Even if I looked at it, it's going to keep bringing it up. But for example, if somebody is searching for toys and games and your video about shoes come up that have nothing to do with toys and games, then that person is likely to skip that video. And that's going to completely confuse the algorithm, right? And it's going to be like, well, wait, the person that created this video put that this video is about toys and games. Now this video is presented to them and they're skipping it. Well, it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're pushing out content. Make sure that any keyword, hashtag, or all the SEO stuff is relevant. It might be, honestly, I'm going to say this. It was a little more difficult for me, especially because I have such a very obscure type product, right? It was a little difficult for me at the beginning, but the more that you do it and the more that you utilize this thesaurus, then the easier it will get. And once you get them, write those keywords down, because you don't want to keep making up keywords as you go along. You want to look at the ones that are working versus the ones that are not working and keep plugging in the ones that are working. There are some tools that you could use to be able to see how you're ranking, right? And then we can go into backlinks and all this other stuff to try to help you get pushed up into the search results higher. But that's a whole nother topic that I don't know that I can fully explain. But this is the way that you're going to build the know, like, and trust factor behind the scenes without being in front of the camera. But if you are a person, we're going to shift into building authority. If you are a person that does not want to get in front of the camera and talk like I'm talking to you right now, well, I hate to tell you, but it's something that you're really going to have to get over. And that is my true and honest opinion. But if you don't want your face shown, at least do a podcast, right? Have your voice shown. And here's the reason why. We're living in a technological age where everything is online. When I was growing up, I had a beeper and my phone had a green backlit screen with black letters, and you could play Snake. Okay. Well, no, you can play Snake then. You could play Snake later when you got a Nokia. But anyhow, so times have changed, and you really have to make sure that your business, or if you're starting it then, or you're moving and trying to progress it now, you have got to get comfortable with letting people see your face, hear your voice, and know who you are. It's just that simple. There is no better way to establish that know, like, and trust factor than showing people that you are a real person, especially in the world where it's so easy to be scammed online. Now, if you are are in the spiritual realm, right? Or when I say spiritual realm, I'm talking like into the spirituality stuff and whatever. I'm pretty sure that you may have gotten random messages from people, and I get them too. Oh, it's so annoying. Hey, my ancestors sent me to you, or I was praying and you came up in my prayers. Like, really? I came up in your prayers? FOH. I don't know if I can curse. I don't want to. I mean, I can curse, but I don't want that to ding me on here. So it's like, yeah, right. Okay. So, and it's funny. I had a situation. I was talking to a friend the other day where I gave them a secret word, and I don't want to put it out here, but if you want to know that word, hit me up. Where you can pretty much call people out that are scamming you, right? And so she contacts me. She sends me a screenshot, and she says, what is this? I don't know why these people keep finding me. And I said, word, I got you. Say this word. And guess what? They revealed them true selves. It was not a woman with a head wrap and my ancestors did this, but an African man voice on the other side of that voice clip. So this is why I say establishing your presence online is huge, 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 huge. If you got to talk yourself up, to the courage to get online and actually do things like this, then do it. When I started first going online, I've never really been a shy person. I've always been kind of in a public, I've always been okay with public speaking as long as I was prepared, right? But when I first started getting online and getting comfortable with the concept of I'm going to show the world my face. I would have a glass of wine. And I actually started my podcast doing that with a glass of wine. One of my very first podcasts was, oh Lord, what was it called? Intuition, High Vibes and Wine or something like that, where I would sit and I would talk and I would have a glass of wine. It relaxed me, right? So if you got to do something like that, and if you're okay with doing something like that, not saying that you need to get drunk on camera, but something to kind of ease the tension of going and building up that courage, then do it. Do it, do it, do it. Do whatever you need to. But if you're not, then you need to really take a moment, sit back and see um if this is the field that you want to go in, right? Because if you are not comfortable with doing things online, then you might as well just start knocking door to door. And people don't do that anymore. You must keep up with the times. All right, so let me see here. And then also too, when you're building your authority, thoroughly explain what it is that you're offering, right? You don't want to leave the buyer or the potential buyer completely confused on what it is that you do. And so this goes back to the example yesterday when I said when you're online and you're showing your presence and your online presence, right? You don't want to confuse them by, oh, I do nails, I change brakes, and I clean houses. That's a whole lot of different things. So if you can't focus on one and build up the authority that way, then you're not, it's almost like, what is that saying where it's like, oh, like jack of all trades but master of none. That's exactly what it looks like online: a jack of all trades, master of none. So if you focus on one thing to become the master at, that in itself will begin to build your authority, and people will begin to know, like, and trust. People do not buy things from people that they do not know, they do not like, and they do not trust. And so online communication like this is how I'm building my know, like, trust factor with people that might not have ever seen me speak, right? And so now I'm giving you the opportunity to determine if you like my personality, if you like, how I do things online, or if to you it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, right? And to know, I'm getting online, giving you an opportunity to get to know me. And so you have to kind of take all of these things into consideration. And so if you're presenting your offerings and say, for example, excuse me, you can't be shy to ask for a sell. Now, that doesn't mean that you're jumping in people's inboxes, or especially cold inboxing, or it doesn't mean that you're like, hey, you want to buy this? That's not what that means. What that means is that, for example, especially some of my posts on my page, I might say, hey, I put up something the other day that said, hey, click on this. I know you want to see it, right? So that is giving somebody something to do. I am encouraging them to take an action. It doesn't mean that I'm saying, hey, go buy this, but I'm encouraging them to do something. So you cannot be shy in business. You can't. Shy money does not make money. It just doesn't. I don't know if I've ever told y'all this before, but my background is in fundraising and inside sales. So I've always been on the phone talking to people, developing the rapport, and being able to overcome objections before the conversation even begins. And so this is something that you have to do. You have to learn. You have to really strategize on what it is that you're doing, and if it's important enough for you to really hone in on your skills and your craft to make the sale. Okay, so clearly label your offerings, and also put the CTA, the call to action. That's what you want them to do, okay? And I know I'm rambling, but if you have any questions, absolutely drop them in the comment, and I have no problem helping. And so what are you going to do when you get online? Well, some of the things that you can do would be tutorials, right? Or you can have educational, live streams like this is here. This is an educational type live stream. You can, you can even share personal stories. I don't necessarily have a whole lot of personal stories, but I do interject them when it's relevant. But so if you have relevant past history and stories and experience that you want to share with your audience, by all means do, because again, we're going back to the know, like, and trust factor. Okay. And also to these type platforms, right? The way this type content that I'm presenting to you with this longer form video, it's going to really help me connect with whoever may come across this. So the reason why I'm asking you to drop comments, right? And I don't see any right now, and that's okay. There could be some, so hashtag replay, especially if he's watching this later, but it's going to give me a chance to connect with you, right? It's going to give me a chance to say, hey, I'm a real person. I'm authentic. I really want to help you with XYZ problem. And I am the answer to your problem. Okay. So if you start approaching how you're putting together your live streams and you've already built that courage to do that, trust me, within no time, with consistency, everything is going to work out. All right. Now, there's something else that I'm going to talk about really quickly before I get ready to go. I told myself I'm going to give myself 30 minutes tonight. I can talk all day about all of this stuff. So, and this is completely, I'm kind of changing gears here, is email marketing. So email marketing, the guy, I forget his name, and I actually watch a YouTube. I told you I watch a lot of documentaries and especially interviews, and I watch and pay attention to people that make the money that I want. So I'm looking at the history things. I'm learning the lessons that they learn because that's how we grow. That's how we are actually able to shift our energy, right? Shift our being into the desired result if we start learning and listening to people who are where they are. I mean, where we want to be. So I forget the guy's name. I probably have to dig into my YouTube history, but he is like credited with developing email marketing. And his story was rather interesting, right? And so this whole email marketing, email has been around, guys. I think I was in high school. Yeah, I was in high school when email really came around. And I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because I think I was like 15. I think I was about 15 years old when I got an email address. And my first email was Candy Girl. And that's because I was selling candy in the neighborhood. Oh my Jesus. I wonder if I still have access to that thing. But anyway, so this guy is being credited with developing email marketing. And so again, I mentioned my age because that's many years ago. Fast forward to now. And so the question that was presented in this interview was, is email marketing still relevant? And his answer was absolutely yes. Think about it, right? If you get something in the mail that's a flyer, how often do we get something like that? Besides like those value pack coupons, which I don't know why they even still do that, but besides like random bits of advertisement, you don't really get as much as you do, now versus then. And so, yes, email is still relevant. It is something that has solidified its place in marketing and it's not going anywhere. And besides the point, it's a lot cheaper to send out a blast email than to get direct marketing mailers. So is it relevant? Yes. Now, there's some ways to get this email marketing thing flowing that I'm not going to cover right now. But if you're interested in looking into a sales funnel, which is a part of the email marketing strategy, then definitely do that. The sales funnel is a funnel that really kind of guides the buyer, the prospective buyer, down a journey until they get to the end point of purchasing. Sometimes that prospective buyer may go ahead and buy immediately, like you may when you go to theschoolofmagic.com. But if they don't, then hey, let me give you something free in exchange for your email. And my goal is to give them something of value to continuously build up the know, like, and trust factor behind the scenes. If somebody does not buy immediately, that's okay. I have once read and heard, I do a lot of reading too, audiobooks really, where it might take somebody 5 to 7 times to see your face or to see the advertisement before they buy. So don't get disheartened, don't beat yourself up if somebody doesn't buy on the first go round. They might buy on the 7th go round, right? And that's okay. So what does that say to you? That means that you need to be continuously showing, displaying, broadcasting, getting out the message that, hey, I'm here. I'm the solution to your problems. Let me show you why and show you how I am. So email marketing is a really good tool to be able to do something like that. And again, the email marketing. And so when I first started my business, I was doing manual emails. where I would type out an email and I would get my little email list. It was a few people on there, and I would send out the emails manually. But once you start really building up an email system, then you're going to want to get something that is a bit more automatic for you. And that's something that I have on the back end. So I'm not sitting there sending out individual emails. That would take absolutely way too much time. And so email marketing is the way to go, but automated email marketing is the where it's at. I am all about passive income, right? And if you are not about passive income, that's okay, but you do need to make sure that you have some type of passive stream that continuously make money while you're working whatever it is that you physically have to be there. I am a perfect example of that, owner of House of Oya Botanica, where I am physically making products and sending it out. Is not as passive as I would like, but that is the reason why I created theschoolofmagic.com, because I have created so many things. A lot of people don't know this, but I started this whole business journey as a life coach. I have 2 degrees in psychology, and I think I have another in criminal justice, another master's. I have a whole bunch of education. I said, okay, let me become a life coach. But over the years, my business has completely changed. And I am completely fine with that, because you don't want to force yourself to go upstream when the current is flowing down. And so if you find yourself in a place where you're struggling and you're not sure where to get content, how to make things, how to set up this whole funnel thing, then it's okay. I got you. If you go to the School of Magic, and it's important that you put the in front of schoolofmagic.com, you'll see that I have a ton of content that's behind the scenes that you can actually take and make your own. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And so the School of Magic is the number one, the only spiritual digital marketing bundle that I have seen. I have not seen anything like it, right? Where I'm giving you private license resale content, which is you can go in, change it, do whatever you want it, slap your name on it, and sell it. I'm giving you resale rights content, where I threw in the Candle Magic for Beginners and ebook in there, where you can go and sell and keep 100% of the profit. And I actually have another book that I've been working on called Broke Witch Shit. Okay. And that ebook will be a part of the Master Resale Right vault that's in the School of Magic. And then you get to resell the access to others for $99. You keep all of the money, right? So if you came and purchased the access to the School of Magic, and you came in and said, okay, I just want to learn what you have to offer. I have a Learn Spirituality module. I have a Learn Entrepreneurship module. I'm going to throw in the Learn Etsy course. If you don't know, I have made so much money on Etsy in the past few years. So I'm going to teach others how to do that. You want to come in and just learn? That is totally fine. You can do that. But if you want to turn it into a business and add it as a passive income stream, then yes, 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 and yes, you can do that. And that's where you can resell the access to the School of Magic, and do the PLR vault or the MRR vault. I mean, it's 3 ways to make money, and you don't have to really do a whole lot. It's a no-brainer. It's a one-time investment of $99. That's it. You don't have to pay me anymore for lifetime access. Now, I will tell you this, the more that I add into the School of Magic, the price is going to increase. And I'm getting ready to increase it rather soon. It's not going to be $99. The content that I put in there is worth way more than $99. So if you do sign up, then you get grandfathered in. You will never have to pay me anything else, and you will get lifetime access to every single thing that I make. Lifetime access. It's a no-brainer. It really is. It makes your life easy, where you don't have to constantly think about content. You can go in there and get items, and you can make courses. You can, I got ebooks. There's so much in there. theschoolofmagic.com. You better get in before I change the price. All right, y'all. Join me tomorrow, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we are going to be talking about collaboration, collaborating with people online and how that's going to enhance your marketing efforts. And don't forget, I will be doing spiritual readings, psychic readings, and business advice tomorrow. So I'll be here a little bit longer to hang out. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Can't wait to see you on the other side. I mean, not